What's up? In this video, I'm going to be showing you the different types of shots, equipment, and angles you should be taking to really film a good highlight style video. Okay, so let's get started. First things first, what we need to talk about is the equipment. Obviously, it's going to be better if you have a more expensive camera like a DSLR, a gimbal, actual lights. But if you don't have those things, you don't need to get them necessarily to get started, right? You can actually start with just your phone. As long as it shoots in 4K, you should be fine, right? The iPhones, any of the Androids, a lot of them, they shoot in high def and 4K plus. So, and a lot of actual commercials have been shot in just the iPhone. So that's one piece of equipment that you have accessible already. Another thing that you want to be keeping in mind is the angle of the actual shot. So if you're filming with your phone, make sure you're filming horizontally, like landscape, and not vertically, unless it's specifically for a platform that needs that. So maybe like an Instagram story or a Facebook story, things like that. But you want to keep it horizontally, okay? Also, what you want to consider is if you're having multiple cameras, you want to keep the quality as close to each other as possible. So it wouldn't look good if you have like a really high quality angle here and then you have a second angle over here and it's kind of blurry and then you try to cut between them. It doesn't look that professional. So you want to keep it both high quality images. Another thing that we're going to talk about is the lighting. So lighting is very important when you're doing your filming here. If you don't have actual lights, you just have to be strategic about when you're going to be filming it. So what time of day is going to be the brightest and where you're going to be filming it. So where are maybe the natural sunlight's coming in from. So for example, if there's like a window over here and then I'm going to be facing the camera over here, it's going to be hitting the side of my face, so I might need to angle a little bit to get the good shot. You don't want to be filming if the light is behind me facing the camera, right? So that would cause like a silhouette effect against me, unless that's what you're going for. But if it isn't, sorry, then it's just going to be whiting out the camera, and you don't want to be doing that. So if you're going to make a video where you're just filming and talking to the camera, I always recommend having 2 or 3 different angles. This is going to make your video a little bit more exciting, so to keep people's attention, and it's going to be, really stale if you just have one angle. So I always like to have one camera here. Maybe you can have a wide shot and then a second camera over here where you're going to do a close-up shot, and a third angle would be maybe just something random, right? Maybe if you're talking about how to do a break fall, it would be people doing a break fall. So that would be the 3 different angles that you're going to be shooting for that video. Also, energy is very important, all right? So if you're trying to get to a 10 level of energy, you have to be at 12, just because on camera it doesn't translate that much. So you have to put a little bit more energy for it to translate on video. Alright, so when it comes to taking action shots, preparation is very important, right? Understanding what you're trying to film, where they are, where they're going to be moving to, and how you're going to be moving as well, right? I like to use things like this. This is a gimbal, a stabilizer, because I am not steady at all. So I need this, right? But if you have someone that can kind of film very steady, they have steady hands, sometimes you might not need this. It's nice to have it, obviously, but again, you don't necessarily need it to get started, right? What you want to be filming for, especially when it comes to the close-up shots, you want to be filming for emotion. You want to see people's reactions. You want to see after a high five, people smiling, or when they're working out, them sweating. So these are the things that are really going to captivate your audience a lot more if you're able to capture those things. Sometimes you might even need to do a fake video of it, right? I tell students all the time, do the high five, like do this right before they're about to spar, so I can just capture that moment, right? A lot of these things are harder to do or organically, and you might have to just actually set it aside and tell them to do it, and that's totally fine as well, right? But again, you want to be making sure that when you're filming that you have an idea and a vision of what you already want this shot to look like. Sometimes it's going to take you a few tries. In fact, it definitely is going to take you a few tries, But just getting that right angle, getting the right timing is gonna make your video look so much better. So there's a lot of different types of shots that you could be taking, and you can get really creative with these once you're actually filming it, because it really does depend on your spacing and like what the shot is and who it is and how many people it is, right? So there's a lot of things that we can do, but one thing you don't want to do is have the same shot over and over and over again, right? So I always like to have a wide angle shot, right? Just capturing a lot of people doing something. This could be good in the beginning when you're doing a warm-up, when they're doing push-ups or the jumping jacks. You want to have wide angle and see all everyone in the class working together. That's a great thing to have. And then if you're having someone that's maybe two guys sparring and you want to focus on them, you can start to pan in slowly to them. So having a shot that's going to focus primarily on these people, that's another great one as well. Another thing that I really like to do is I don't like to stay still. I like to always move. So if you're doing an action shot, sometimes you would move up, right? So I can go up in the diagonal like this, right? So I'm trying to expose someone. Maybe someone's getting their new belt, right? And then so you come up and then you see the instructor put the belt around his waist and then ties it as you capture it, right? Something like that. Or if you're maybe all in a line, right, like at the start of class, or they're all sitting down, and then the instructor is doing teaching the technique of the day, you can come behind them and then slowly come across like this. Really important, again, you're not shaking because it really shows up on the video. So stay really, really, really steady when you're coming across. Another good one is to come up, and this is kind of to reveal something, right? So sometimes you can even start it down like this, and then you come up and nice and smooth, and you're gonna reveal maybe a grand opening of the school, of what, you know, if you have a brand new school or new equipment or new mats or something like that, and then you reveal it, right? Another good one is coming down, right? It just depends on what the shot is. So if you have people that are maybe doing an exercise, and then you can come around and then slowly come in. So the big thing is just staying stable and experimenting with different shots, experimenting with different depths, so short, like close angle and wide angle, and making sure that it's not shaky, right? And another thing is, if you're gonna do a video with audio, you always want to be listening or replaying it again to make sure that the audio is actually working. A lot of times you're making B-roll footage, you don't necessarily need video or audio or any dialogue or anything like that, because you can just cut it out and play some music in the background. But again, that all comes with preparation and knowing what type of shots and what type of video you're making. Bonus tip. So if you are filming any action shots where there's movement and you actually have to physically walk, I always recommend having soft knees. So what does that mean? That means not walking rigid like this, where there's a lot of up and down, because it's going to be very shaky on the camera. You want to be having your knees bent like this and slowly like glide across the floor like this. Anytime you move back or forward, sideways, you're gliding. So this is going to be a much more smooth transition and look to your video.